Welcome back. In response to the concerns of the residents of the CDC blocks located on Jomati Street and Darling Road, the Castries Constituency Council has agreed to discontinue its use of residential garbage disposal facilities located near the CDC block. The decision to use the residential garbage dump site was a temporary measure to allow for ease of access by sanitation teams. The CCC says it understands fully the added health risks and poor waste management practices associated with the use of the site by its sanitation workers, and therefore, effective the 12th of September 2019, its use by workers is suspended. This means that the garbage disposal facility will be used solely by the residents. The numbers don't lie, but they don't always tell the truth, as is the case with victims of crimes and crimes which go unreported. To address the matter, a crime victimization workshop is currently being conducted to train enumerators to conduct a census aimed at gathering data on victims of crime. The survey is funded and supported by the United Nations Development Program and is the first of its kind in St. Lucia. Solange Alfred reports.
A workshop held to develop the skills of enumerators is being conducted with the support of the UNDP as well as the UN Office on Drugs and Crime. The focus of the workshop surrounds the methodology and configuration surrounding data collection on victims of crimes. National Crime Victimization Survey Coordinator Edwin St. Catherine says the workshop will significantly build the capacity of the attendees in sourcing relevant information relating to crime victimization.
You don't hear what happens to victims of crime. Especially you don't hear a lot about crimes that are underreported. A lot of cyber crime happens, consumer fraud, people are scammed, okay? You get people are threatened to be killed. There's extortion, right? Where somebody tells you if you do not do a particular thing, they will hurt your child or your relative, that sort of thing. That's extortion, all right? So there are lots of these crimes that victims experience that are never reported to the police. In fact, if you look at crime on the whole, what is reported by the police is the tip of the iceberg. Beneath that iceberg, there's what we call the dark figure of crime. A whole lot of incidents that happen in the society that are not defined.
St. Catherine says in order to penetrate that darker layer of crime, a collaboration of sort has been forged with various stakeholders within the judicial system.
We've used the support and experience of the UNODC Center of Excellence in Mexico. We have collaborated with the police, the Ministry of Justice, and the lawyers, the legal fraternity, and so on. We've shared this document widely, this questionnaires widely with them, and we've come up with a customized version of these instruments for St. Lucia, right?
Yes. When you start the survey, how many enumerators are expected?
We have 25 enumerators, 5 supervisors. The survey starts Tuesday next week, and on average the survey takes about 30 to 40 minutes to complete.
The coordinator says the outcome of the survey will be provided to law enforcement officials to compare statistics of what was officially reported versus what went unreported.
We'd be able to describe to the police, put out information that will describe to the police the regularity of different types of crime in the population, and they can now compare it to their official statistics. Because what happens is that a lot of crime goes unreported. So you can see the disparity between what the statistics are saying about crimes that are occurring, all right, and what is actually measured from the perspective of the victims. That's why it's called a crime victimization survey. It focuses on the population and the victims of crime, and therefore produces a much broader, richer type set of statistics than what is officially documented.
The aim of the census is also to get an indication of residents' level of safety within their various neighborhoods. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Solaj Alfred.
The former president of the National Consumers Association, Kingsley St. Hill, is questioning the fate of what was supposed to be antitrust competition laws. The advocate says, as with many other pieces of legislation on island, the powers that be are dragging their feet on this matter. To protect the consumer, you need competition. Where there is competition, there is choice. With monopolies, the consumer is forced to take what they get. It is a situation that troubles former National Consumer Association President Kingsley St. Hill and prompts him to make a call for the implementation of competition law. Competition, or antitrust law as it's sometimes called, are a group of laws that protect consumers and regulate how companies operate their businesses. The goal of these laws is to provide an equal playing field for similar businesses that operate in a specific industry, while preventing them from gaining too much power over their competition.
They have this antitrust legislation to prevent monopoly, and we need that. One time I know when Philip McLaurin was there, they were working on a competition law. I don't know what has happened to that law. It has not come into effect. I remember they had a bill. It's not come into effect. But we need to ensure that we have competition for the benefit of the consumer.
As St. Hill pointed out, nothing has become of plans to introduce competition or antitrust law. In a recent sit-down with Hot 7 TV News, Commerce Minister Bradley Felix confirmed that discussion to pass the competition law has been ongoing for nearly a decade. Under the Treaty of Chaguaramas, the region is obligated to put in such policies to protect the people, but he says it hasn't been a priority so far.
There is a draft policy that's actually been prepared by the OECS. In fact, coincidentally, there is a meeting in Grenada this month, and there are two people from the ministry who will be attending, our legal officer and the director of consumer affairs, because it is something that we have to fast track, because we have to ensure that people's rights are protected, that there is no one major player who can take advantage of people, and I mean we can think of a few of them. We also have to be very mindful of various mergers, acquisitions, and how these things can affect the consumer. So it is something that needs to be worked on. I would admit it has not been something that has been aggressive in terms of the priority, but now that we are having this meeting coming up, there's a lot more priority being given to it, because we recognize the situation on the ground as to how our citizens can be affected.
St. Hill laments that consumers continue to get the short end of the stick in the absence of such legislation. Both the Consumer Protection Act and competition or antitrust law have not come into force. The Consumer Protection Act, although passed in 2016, is awaiting a commencement date which has not yet been given, as a number of issues have been noted in the current draft. These issues are currently being discussed with the Attorney General's drafting unit. St. Hill says putting such legislation on government's front burner is long overdue. Much has been said with regard to the government's intention to pursue a public-private partnership arrangement with the Owen King EU Hospital. The opposition SLP has led the charge in advocating against the move. Ministers for Health from two small developing states have provided insight into how things operate in their territories, with one thing being certain: complete privatization is not the preferred option. Solange Alfred tells us more.
The monitoring of other islands' implementation of certain practices before trying it out is common practice in the Caribbean. The watch and wait and then try approach has worked in the favor of many small developing states. Leading the way in the healthcare services is the islands of Antigua and Barbuda and Barbados. At the 56th meeting of Minister of Health officials held in St. Lucia, media officials spoke with Minister for Health and Wellness for Antigua and Barbuda, Malwin Joseph, who provided his thoughts on the best governance approach for major hospitals serving an island.
In Antigua, we have private clinics. that provides some similar service, not as expensive as our hospital. I think it's important to have both private and public keep a balance. And that's the way we are pursuing it in Antigua and Barbuda. We do not discourage the development of private hospitals, but I think one of the things that has to keep in mind is how you maintain the standards. And I believe the government is responsible to ensuring that there is a high standard of healthcare delivery in this country. They cannot leave that up to the private sector. The government must establish the standards and ensure that they are maintained.
With no clear indication as to which direction the government of St. Lucia will take with the OKEU hospital, the press sought to question another Minister of Health and Wellness, this time hailing from Barbados, Mr. Jeffrey Bostic. He says certain services may be privatized in a general hospital. However, the overall governance of the hospital should not be privatized.
The main hospital, I cannot see a situation where our main hospital is privatized. That is something that we believe that we offer the people of Barbados, and it is best delivered by government. But also there are some aspects of the services that can be privatized through partnerships, and we do that all right now. For example, our artificial kidney unit at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, the capacity of that unit cannot meet the demand. So you would find that the majority of persons who require artificial kidney treatment, that is being privatized. So most of them actually are privatized, but privatized and paid for by the government.
The Alan Chasney-led administration in the past has been accused of an unhealthy secrecy surrounding the OKEU hospital by leader of the opposition, Philip J. Pierre. Pierre has made a call for the government to tell the populace in clear and unambiguous language why it has selected Cayman Health City to manage and operate the OKEU hospital. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Solaj Alfred.
With hundreds of cases of pulmonary diseases possibly linked to vaping, concerns among international and regional agencies continue to grow about the trend. Vaping, or e-cigarettes, was hailed as an alternative to smoking cigarettes and a step away from the addictive drug nicotine. However, the Centers for Disease Control, CDC, has advised to avoid e-cigarettes as investigations are ongoing in a U.S. outbreak of severe respiratory illnesses associated with vaping and e-cigarette products. Jacques Wooding reports.
Concerns continue to increase about the safety and regulation of e-cigarettes. As of Friday, there have been more than 450 cases of lung illness associated with e-cigarettes reported to the Centers for Disease Control across 33 United States and the U.S. Virgin Islands. The federal investigation into the link between vaping and severe lung illnesses is ongoing and has not identified a cause, but all reported cases have indicated the use of e-cigarettes products. The CDC says e-cigarettes should never be used by the youth, young adults, pregnant women, or adults who do not currently use tobacco products. While an investigation into lung illnesses outbreak is going on, people should consider not using e-cigarette products, and people who do should monitor themselves for symptoms. Weighing into this issue is World Health Organization and Pan American Health Organization representative Dr. Godfrey Shureb. He says his agencies continue to stand against smoking in its entirety.
PAHO's position is that smoking kills. So whether it's through the traditional smoking, whether it's through vaping, whether it's through any kind of inhalation of tobacco products, they are harmful to your body.
Dr. Shureb stresses the danger of tobacco smoking in all forms and says his agencies will continue to monitor the growing trend of e-cigarettes and the resulting health issues.
We are monitoring, we are looking, and we are talking to the CDC about the current increase or developments with regards to diseases related to vaping. But PAHO's position and WHO's position has always been the same. Any tobacco inhaled in the body is harmful to the body. So the message is, don't smoke.
Since 2005, The e-cigarette industry has grown from one manufacturer in China to an estimated US $3 million global business with over 466 brands. Globally, health agencies have been taking a stand against e-cigarettes, with the Trump administration recently announcing an impending ban on the devices. For Hot 7 News, I am Jacques Wooding.
This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us, there's more news coming up after the break.